It's Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, and we may be facing another major issue. A significant blast of Arctic air is moving down from Canada, potentially bringing temperatures as low as 0 degrees along the Gulf Coast. This weather front could also bring snow across much of the eastern coast, leading to major travel disruptions and power outages through much of the eastern United States. In fact, temperatures may drop even lower than what we experienced this past weekend. In today's forecast, I will provide a detailed breakdown of what you need to know about this significant winter weather event. And so if we go ahead and begin right now, we have this high pressure system sort of hovering over parts of Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, and parts of northern Missouri, parts of northern Mississippi, which is actually keeping things dry, clean, still some colder temperatures in those areas, but it's keeping it away from all the precipitation, snow, and ice and everything like that could cause these areas to experience like precipitation. This is keeping the sun out, though, which is melting all of the ice off the roads and all the snow off the roads. Much of the schools are returning back to school today across much of the United States, as this winter weather event has now ended and the snow and ice and all that is starting to melt and the roads are being cleared. We're making this even safer now for people to return back to work and school. As we move on later on into the day, nothing too crazy continues to happen. This high pressure system sort of forms into like a oval type shape as it moves down the coast of Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. Around later today, potentially around 2 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, it begins to move off like the Georgia, South Carolina, parts of Florida coast, just letting everything return back to sort of like little bits of like rain and just rain showers every now and then, everywhere. And then nothing too crazy continues to happen as we move on into Friday, January 30th. But then we get this system sort of like start to form, which if you watch this right here, it just massive like collaborates with this right here, forming this right here, moving across much of the southern United States into parts of the eastern United States, which this right here will actually bring most of the snow that we're going to be seeing to the eastern United States. This sort of little like trough right here, which like I said could bring most of the snow to the eastern United States, driven by a Arctic blast that could be moving down, bringing temperatures as low as 0 degrees along the Gulf Coast and negative 30 degrees across parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, parts of northern Alabama. But again, that is too far out to accurately predict, but we will take a closer look onto the temperatures now. Beginning with right now, we could be seeing temperatures negatives up in parts of like Minnesota, North Dakota, into parts of Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, like the UP of Michigan, into Ohio, Indiana, and parts of Illinois, even into parts of northern Kentucky, as well as parts of Pennsylvania and New York. For much of the northeastern United States really is what we're expecting here. But as we move on later on into the day, warmer temperatures start to take over parts of the southern United States, while most temperatures across the whole U.S. will be out of the negative digits and above 0. But this does not stay for long as we move on into Thursday, as that's when temperatures will sort of just like start to go up and down across much of the United States, which could bring the return of some rain and potentially some light thunderstorms for much of the United States. Temperatures start to drop below negative 22 degrees as we move on to Friday morning. Things continue to stay pretty cold and around 67, 68 degrees in parts of Florida. And then as we move on to Saturday, January 31st, this is when this Arctic blast really starts to take effect, which if we watch this, it all sort of just starts to move down into parts of the southern United States, bringing very, very cold temperatures to much of the United States. And this will stay for a decent amount of time, if you want me to be completely honest. And it's just sort of off and on, which is the problem with this system, as colder air mixed with warmer air is what creates all the severe weather that we see. So there is a chance of severe weather from this system, but overall, nothing too crazy as to what we are expecting. Just some colder temperatures along the eastern coast with a little bit of snow. Now I want to take a look at our high-pressure systems and low-pressure systems, which you may be thinking that the orange and reddish means hotter temperatures and the blue means lower temperatures, but that is not actually true. The red is the high-pressure systems and the blue is low-pressure systems, which a low-pressure system is where all the precipitation and everything like that began to form. That's where all the clouds form from. While high-pressure systems are keeping things clean, calm, and everything like that up in the air, which we have a high pressure system currently over parts of Texas as well as parts of Syracuse, New York, and mainly all around the New York area, as we have this one just off of the west coast, bringing some hotter temperatures to parts of California, into Oregon and Washington. Lower pressure systems in between areas like Alabama, Minnesota, Wisconsin, all those areas, as well as parts of Mississippi and Louisiana, through Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, all those areas really, which are staying pretty cloudy and rainy. Nothing too crazy though. But as we move on later on into the day, nothing too crazy happens. I really want to highlight what is happening as we move on into February 2nd, which nothing too crazy tends to occur right now. But we have this sort of low pressure system mixed with this high pressure system starting to push down, as well as we move on into January 30th, sort of bringing these colder temperatures, but then that just like brings some decent amount of precipitation that could turn into ice and snow across much of the East Coast. And this is what is actually going to be bringing that main snow event. It is all pushed by this high pressure system, which is coming right behind it, sort of trying to melt it all. But as you saw earlier in the temperatures, this will not occur too much, and we could continue to see a decent amount of ice on the roads, continuing power outages, travel disruptions, everything like that you could think of along the East Coast. Now here's our total snowfall in inches. This is not all the snow falling at one period of time. This is all the snow that we could be seeing all the way up to February 3rd and February 2nd. So starting off right now, this is not what we're mainly here to look at. This is the European model. I just don't like the way the GFS lays out all the winter storms. It is a good model, I will say, but the European model has been on top of it this winter so far, providing the most accurate information about winter storms. But as we move on into January 31st, nothing crazy happens. Some snow along much of the United States. But as we move on into Saturday, January 31st, later on into the day, probably around 9-ish a.m., we have some snow, like flurries, start to fire up in parts of South Carolina, North Carolina. And this will continue to build up into parts of Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, as we move on into later on Saturday and to February 1st on Sunday. And then we could see some significant snow, but this just sort of continues to like expand all across the eastern coast, covering pretty much, there will be some snow across the entire East Coast, except for parts of like southern Florida, which obviously will not be seeing too much. As we move on into the more southeastern Georgia area, the snow threat really starts to die down. But this is still about 5 days out, so we are not able to accurately predict what will be happening over the next few days. But up to tomorrow and the next day is when we will be able to accurately predict things within the 2-day range. So we will be posting videos whenever you need to be updated on something, or if there's actually something happening. I will not be posting videos just like to get your attention that there's something actually happening when there's not actually something happening. But yeah, the snow continues to sort of stay as we move on into February 2nd. Snowfall ranges up to about 4 inches in parts of North Carolina and South Carolina, maybe up to 6 or 7 inches, but nothing too crazy will be occurring across much of the United States that the European model is showing right now. However, that was all we had to talk about in today's video. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll be posting videos every single time that you need to be updated on something, or every single time that something is happening. We go live during weather events, like we went live for the past winter weather events, and we will be live during any severe weather event or major winter weather event that needs to be covered. As of now, we currently have about 4 or 5 storm chasers, and I appreciate every single one of you. Working on getting some more just to have some spread all across the United States. So that way, anytime there's a winter weather event in one state, I'll have a storm chaser on that storm or weather event. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video. Peace!